Welcome everybody back to the Red Path. It's nice to be back. I think this is going to be another really cool video for you guys because this is actually going to be one of the first times we've ever had a new member of the channel on for the first time in a while since I was on. So we have Ryan Bell joining us for his first video, beyond just his introduction video that we released earlier. But how is everybody doing? Is everybody doing good today? Starting with you, Dara.
Yeah,
Anything
man.
anything
All
up?
good. No, I'm super hype. I mean, obviously we got Ryan on, so we're putting this down the same day that we recorded the intro video and right off the back of Ryan's run at the Toronto Fall Open, right?
Hmm.
Um and I was pretty hype on that, in the lead up to it. And obviously seeing the world leaders go out on their first outing after the MFM update and being like, "Oh, I wonder how it's gonna go." And then seeing you play twice into Blood Angels, which is an incredibly interesting matchup now. Um,
Hmm.
I'm pretty hype, and I got to play against the new BA this weekend myself. And honestly, I'm gonna say it now. Me and my boy Mike, who I was playing against, we were both saying that was probably the most fun game of 40k we've played in 10th edition. Like that matchup is hella hard, but hella fun to play.
It's
So
great.
yeah, it's good. I'll turn it
Awesome.
over to you, Ryan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Obviously, a little bit of voice gone from hooting and hollering for lots of hours. Also dealing with some aftermath of some non-Warhammer drama, which we will slightly cover. We don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's part of the story now. Um, so dealing with some of that today. But yeah, man, it's super fun. Yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
awesome.
So you just got back from the Toronto Fall Open
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. 2024, and that's an event that you normally like that's your organization typically hosts, right?
Yeah.
So
So
this
my
one's like your home.
organization. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so
Um,
this is like your home event, right?
Oh, kinda, yeah, essentially. So GTA 40K runs the the Toronto Open Series. We generally do a fall and a winter one. Normally, I run them, and I just realistically was cutting down on my hobby time because new dad syndrome, and I was like, well, I already get lots of FOMO watching, and I just don't get enough playtime now. So I'm gonna, take a step back. Our also group has grown so much, and more TOs and more judges have stepped to the fore, and so it was perfect timing for me to be able to, pivot from helping just run the events to helping just run our competitive team. So now I captain our competitive team. We go to team events. If we go to singles events like we did there, there's a bunch of us here, obviously. I, hype everyone up. We talk about our lists and our little chat, and it's super fun. So perfect for me. I get to play more and focus more on my favorite parts of the hobby, which is the competitive side and the playing side. But yeah, it was a gauntlet. I actually I playfully called it running the. I think it's running the gauntlet in TRP army lists where I updated everyone along as I was kind of going, and man oh man, so this I have some cherry pick stats here from the Toronto Fall Open. So TFO, golden ticket holders at TFO, there were 64 players. 24% of attendees had a golden ticket for Warhammer Championships.
Which
Um,
means they won or almost won a GT. Each of these
um,
guys.
Top 100 ITC in Canada, 36.5% of attendees. Top 50 ELO players in Canada, 21% of attendees. This was a room full of murderers. The guy in like eighth place had a 70% opponent win percentage rating. Like it was wild. Like there's like it's we were had like top players in the world losing round two. Like we're just like I guess this is what's happening. So it was really fun. Honestly, there was some nerves going into it. I'm like, oh man, like this could end very quickly.
Yeah, like
Obviously, I go into every event hoping to win. I was joking with my buddies. I'm like, man, I'm 3-3. I'm going 3-3. That's all I want. I just don't want to be embarrassed.
yeah, like
But
not only are you running into the Blood Angels meta, you're running into a Shark Tank of Blood Angels.
yeah, well, yeah, one of the best players in Canada, Francois Lalonde, bringing Blood Angels. Day before the event, he just switched from he was going to run World Leaders, so he like gonna run World Leaders, had the vanilla list lined up and ready to go, and then pivoted last second into a nasty Blood Angels list. I looked at it and was like, nope, don't want it. Don't, no, 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 no. The
Well,
yeah, so it's like, oh man, like, and then yeah, we had so then we had Tim Dietliefs, we have Scary. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Scary. Richard Martinez, lovely, lovely human. Obviously has his Dark Eldar channel, and so yeah, like it was just a room full of murderers, and so going into it, super fun, super stressful. The night before, the Thursday before, I was supposed to stream a game for Northern Knights. They were local crew, and my daughter got an ear infection, and I had been dealing with that for 2 days before the event. And I think before the event, I got an hour and 45 to maybe 2 hours of sleep, helping dealing with that the
Perfect.
Friday night.
Absolutely
So I'm just
perfect.
like, all right, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go.
Straight into the
perfect
cold.
storm. I know I perform best under like extreme exhaustion. So,
I hate
um,
it. Yeah, you're at an event. I'm like waking up and you're messaging me. I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is forbidden.
Yeah, like people were asking, like, "Are you okay? Like, what's wrong? What's happening?" It's like, I don't know. Um,
Nice.
well,
but
we
yeah,
briefly covered new meta, like New Horizon. Everybody's like, this is Brave New World for us. Granted, it's going to be a very short meta. The next data slate we have coming out, they've said will be this year. So, I mean, ballpark mid-December is probably when we can expect it. But for now,
cool.
we are in a meta that will last us through the rest of the year. So any of the events you guys have coming up, which may not be too many, one or two GTs for some of you guys that are really getting around, maybe a few RTTs. This is where we will be. So Ryan actually has a list that I've kind of just subscribed to. Has a cool
Same.
couple little innovations in it that are a little unique. So how about you go ahead and take us through it? Because Dar and I are listening.
I love this list
Awesome.
so much.
Dara was instrumental in helping me build this list. If not for Dara, I don't. I'm garbage. So it's basically
A
my
lot of
core.
people can
Like
say
if
that, it's okay.
if 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 any of you are familiar with my list, it's basically my core. It's or the core. It's Angron, Avocado, Glavemo. No, don't take out Glavemo. That's the answer to that question. Stop right now. Glavemo, Avocado, Angron, 2 units of 10 Jackals, 1 unit of 10 Berserkers, the Rhino that they go in, 2 units of 8 bound, 1 unit of 3 exalted, 1 unit of 6 exalted. I had to get rid of. Normally, I run Spawn and the Favorite of Khorne Juggernaut. So obviously, the points cuts or the points raises basically killed that for me. I couldn't afford the luxury that is the FOK jug, and so I cut him very sadly. I love Favorite of Khorne. It's so important for me because I'm a slavering idiot when it comes to the table. Like I need to first turn charge you. Like must happen. So the fact that I didn't have nearly automatic access to advance and charge first turn was very discerning for me. But I wanted to go with more trading pieces, more tools. So I instead of keeping just him, I cut him and kept my 2 spawn. And then I had 90 points left over. And my first thought was spawn or jackals. That's the obvious competitive answer, right? Like one of those two fits there. And Dara's like, what about 5 berserkers? They fit. And I was like, huh, that seems dumb, Dara. Berserkers are no, that could do a thing. Because one of the best things about Spawn is the icon, or sorry, the Jackals is the icon. One of the best things about Spawn is that they're kind of tanky and can skirmish mid ground. 5 berserkers just do both of those things. Not as durable as Spawn, don't sticky like Jackals, but they kind of have this balance. And if I already have Spawn and 2 units of Jackals, I can't see myself really getting a third sticky objective off with an early skirmishing unit. So like maybe that doesn't matter so much. They have the extra durability to sit and cover. They kill stuff like they'll kill chaff. Like if I had to face Votan or whatever, like Jaegers go in front of me, bye bye Jaegers. Like I don't have to worry about that. Whereas like Jackals may not pick all of them up on T5 unless I do something crazy with like staging auras, and I don't want to have to put my aura units maybe up and trade them out. So just having a unit of 5 berserkers go pick stuff up and just do it independently seemed really, really cool. So they made the list, tried them out, and we'll see how they did, guys.
And I really personally liked the toolbox aspect of it now. Like, honestly, Invocatus just seems even better. Now you have three different things that you can launch at your opponent's face turn one with a scout. So you
Yep.
can do six exalt, I guess four. The six exalted, the three exalted, jackals or berserkers.
Yep.
Which now you have the key that fits the lock. You can, if somebody's putting something up in front of you, like 10 orc boys, five berserkers will pick up 10 orc boys, probably without issue. Uh,
Yep.
10 jackals, probably not. And exalted 8 pound would probably feel bad for that trade. So
And
there's like a
and Spawn
weird
just don't
niche
do it.
there.
Yeah,
Yep,
Spawn
no,
just like hitting on
spawn.
fours is just like it's casino. Every time they chart something, it's
Yep.
like who knows? They could kill your rhino. They could kill two cultists. Like I don't know. It's
It's tough.
like
One of the things that I do like about them is that it's unlikely to actually go off, but you do have that threat of blood surge, right? So they can.
yep,
Whereas before you might put up jackals onto that front flip, just to take up an infiltrator screen, and maybe your opponent moves up and tags an objective that they're standing on, and then shoots off the jackals. They can't really necessarily always take that risk with the Zergs, even if it's just five. They start putting chip damage into them. Yeah, maybe you surge and things get a little bit annoying. So I do like them. I really like them in your list. Having used them myself, that list is fire, and those Zergs kind of feel, in my opinion, quite at home in that list. They have a distinct role. Not that the list is lacking that role, but it's just another thing that can instigate the trading in your favor.
I'll be super blunt. If it wasn't for the extra 20 points, I wouldn't take them. Like it's not like they're not in need at all.
No.
It's a luxury bonus that I had 20 points and could add them over Spawn or Jackals. If I was restricted to 70 points and I had to pick one or the other, it would almost certainly be a second unit of Spawn. But it was nice to just have the option and test it out.
Awesome. Alrighty. We'll start talking about the event then. So
Sorry.
there was quite a stacked field, obviously.
Yes.
Um, why don't you run us through the games? Give us the matchup that you're playing, how you felt about it, and how it went, any key moments, any big turning points, all that good stuff.
Um, I love my fellow TOs at GG40K for this because and I used to do this too. I love to watch people sweat. So they put up the matchups the night before
Oh
and
yeah.
wiggle worms, wiggle, and watch everyone like try to puzzle out each other's lists and figure it out. Um, I got a nasty, nasty double Rogel Dorn Imperial Guard, still had six Bullgrin and a unit of three Bullgrin, had a bunch of Chimeras with jungle fighters in them. Obviously Leo, um, and was just like, oh man. And the reason that especially scared me is I know you guys probably can't see it, but the map was arguably the maybe one of the worst WCTC maps I've ever seen. So yeah, it's all WCT terrain, and this sweeping engagement map is horrendous for firing lanes. They're just all over the place, and so thankfully most of his shooting units. So he also had like one of them in Rush Punisher or Exterminator or whatever that thing was called, the one that gives you extra AP. But most of the firing lanes, I could kind of predict, so I sat myself down behind my one little corner that I could hide in and scout after I don't get first turn and immediately make a clearly overtired mistake because I guess I scouted the wrong way with Avocado and his butt was sticking out or something like that because he also redeployed one of the Dorns because you get Leo redeploys all the stuff. So he goes to redeploys a Dorn to shoot Avocado, and the Sentinel goes to shoot at him first, and the Sentinel just picks him up with a Hunter Killer Missile and a last cannon. No Dorn necessary. I'm like,
Ooh.
sorry, what? Why?
Ooh.
So like, why is this happening to me? So like immediately I'm down Avocado for no reason other than I'm bad at the game. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just lose then. I did not in fact lose. I squeaked this one out 82 to 80 against a very good opponent. He was awesome, great guy to play. And Yeah, basically just the key to victory was he pushed stuff forward, did a bunch of tried to do a bunch of terraforms, obviously, on the three no man's lands objectives, and I just like aggressively pushed back at him and was like, "Dorns be damned." I'm going to give them targets and they're going to shoot some stuff. And I got Terraform off on two objectives because he was too busy dealing with the Angron and the sixth Exalted that I rammed at him. and and so while he was prioritizing the scary things, he forgot to shoot the stuff that was going to score me points all game long. And when I say forgot, I actually feel a little bad about this. Much later in the game, I learned that he did not understand that Terraform was continual all game long. And so I do feel bad about that. I don't feel that that's my fault. Like it's in the mission pack. The pack was open for months. Like, I mean, I didn't understand that you didn't know the rule. I totally would have explained it to him. I did feel really bad about it. But losing by 2 points when you don't know how Terraform works, and I got 2 points on two objectives all game long, made the difference for sure.
Yeah, that's one
So
you don't want
I
to
could
find
have,
out.
yeah, I could have lost round one, right? Like, but it was very close, very good game. And yeah, I was sweating hard at the end of that one, boys. So already it was a shark. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a long, long day. And the first day is 4 games, so it's a 4 games Saturday and a 2 game Sunday. So
I,
we're off to the
I,
races already.
I've done 4 games once. That was Adepticon, and oh my God, that was a marathon.
There you
I
go.
ended up being on stream for the fourth one too, just to really punish me.
Yeah, perfect. Huh,
I
any foreshadowing there, Brian? We got any foreshadowing there? Um, uh, but so game two, I
I
play a teammate actually. Oh, sorry,
real
go
quick,
ahead.
real quick. I wanted to pick one thing from you because there was one thing I was interested in. This guard player was running Tempestus Aquilons, right?
He was, and I don't know that he misplayed them because it's tough to like. He got sabotage on turn two, and I had a giant hole in my deployment zone, um, way off to the left, where like all there was no terrain, and all of it like his guns were all over the place. So I was just like, have that corner, it's yours. I don't care. But then he pulled sabotage, and he was like, I have one deep strike unit, and I can go score 6 points, and you basically can't stop me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I'm like, ah. So he spent them there. Um,
Seems like a good
and
use, but I think they're a boogeyman unit for us at the moment. I'm curious to see
um,
what guardless
Well,
spamming through him will do.
I did let him know. I didn't gotcha him, but I'm like, I will, like, I almost have to rapid ingress that. So I rapid ingressed my 3 exalted 8 pounder that I had in reserves. He did use a scout sentinel to try and push me out a little bit. I did roll advance and charge, so I was able to get to the 3 exalted, got to those guys and mop them up before they could score sabotage. But I don't think it was the wrong play by him. I think he just got unlucky with me getting the dice that I needed and essentially to do the thing that could have stopped that. And I essentially lost the exalted to stop him from doing that for his 90-point unit or whatever it is.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it was a worthwhile trade. Obviously, I won the game by 2 points, so that's 6 points, 6 extra points for him. Not so good, but yeah.
All right, game two.
Um, a teammate. Lucas running CSM, and this one was guilt-inducing. Search and destroy. I
Oh,
go first. He lines up the one ACD unit he has as like the countermeasure. Like he's like, you're gonna hit this, but I'm gonna make you pay for it with like an interrupt. You're not gonna kill all this at once. Um,
bet.
yeah, I'm like, you idiot. Like I'm gonna do this. Like I can't not charge you. So like one of the but like he like worked out like where he could put his character so that I couldn't see him through like some charges and stuff like that. And we figured out in my turn, and I offered it to him, and I was like, he's like, no, I got to do this. Angron hit the side of the unit. It's like tailed out like 20 inches. Angron hit the side of the unit and looked down it and saw the character. And so the character is like
Oh,
13 inches away, 14 inches away, and gets sniped out.
hey,
And then
loser.
Avocado, yeah, he just like chucks rocks at him. And so then Avocado killed all 6 of the big cultists when I rolled like 5 dev wounds on his attacks. And I was just like, man, this was a perfect storm of like, this is horrible for you. So then he has like 2 rhinos of stuff that were too far back. He just deployed a little too safe. And I played the game of put baby in the corner, and he never left his deployment zone all game, and it was a horrendous point scoring scenario. But yeah, it was we had fun. Like he's a good opponent. We laughed about it, and we were just like having a great time. But yeah, it wasn't a slobber knocker or anything like that.
That's pretty funny.
Um,
That's like the funniest way I've ever heard of an ACDC playing.
so yeah,
I,
Angron sniping a character from like 15 inches away is the best.
I love that imagery. I love that in my head. Just
Throwing a
that's why
pine
Um,
he has
grinder into the
that's
air.
that's why his axes are like actually tied
Oh
to his
yeah.
wrist so he can throw them and
yeah,
pull them back.
get over here. So
Nice.
yeah, game three. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. So the pairings for game three go up. I'm gonna see if I can pull them up very quickly here. Um, so pairings for game three. Um, we have two Team Canada members facing off, table one. Two tournament winners facing off, table two. Best player in Canada versus a golden ticket winner, gate table three. Two Team Canada players, table four. Team Canada player and a top player in his region, table five. Uh, One of my teammates, who's one of the best players I know, versus maybe the best player in the Durham region and the top 15 player in Canada, table six. Table seven is me versus a guy who beat like two noobs. And I'm like, there's no justice in the world. None. Like, not no justice. Also CSM, also Real Space Raiders. So it's basically the same stuff I just played. And it was arguably worse on Hammer and Anvil. Supply drop and the terrain was reasonable. He had no way to stop me from scouting. I just scouted up and safely into buildings. He couldn't go onto objectives without dying. Avocado went and picked up some bikes when he got area denial turn one, and then died and stickied the objective. I went on all the objectives and just never let him go. And it was just like he couldn't really do anything about it. Doesn't help that his obliterators rolled, I think, 90% ones and twos, and that's not an exaggeration. It was just like constant no hitting of anything, and it was like,
I'm,
all right, I
I'm,
guess. And so
yeah, I'm
pretty
gonna
sad.
steal that and say player blitz and veterans, guys. I'm gonna steal that real quick, and then
Yeah.
now that that plug's gone, keep
So
going.
but yeah, that was the game three. That wasn't long. And it was against buddy Matt. He's played on one of our teams before, GTA 40K. He's a great dude. He was awesome sport. We had such a fun time. We were laughing about it. But that was just a really bad matchup for him. And I somehow dodged every murderer in the event, who now are all murdering each other. Like, so it was perfect air quotes for me. But yeah, it was got a little blessed by the pairing gods a little there.
Well, I mean, that can't last forever, so
It sure didn't, Brian.
Oh
Game
really?
four. This is I can't say enough about this game. This was so much fun, and it feels so bad to spoil it because there's an amazing two-part video about this. Um,
it's like
so
definitely like a sorry, Ryan, it's definitely like a Dragon Ball Z, like to be continued. Like you just see
yeah,
like the main character getting his
Oh
butt beat,
yeah.
and then you just see like what will he do in his final moments.
You know
So
the
if
I
you
don't
yeah,
know
go
if you guys
watch the
watch JoJo, but like the way they always did it to be continued at the end, where there's like this
yeah.
music line that comes up. It's just the end
Oh
of Battle
man.
Round 3 that just cuts in.
I bet you're wondering, and
Um,
then in Battle Royale, the second one's like, I bet you're wondering how I got here.
um, so we're on stream. I'm facing Francois Lalonde, number three ELO player in Canada. One of the best players in Canada by far. He's amazing, dude. The best part about this is that for as good of a player as he is, an even better sport. He has an amazing reputation. Everyone who plays him loves him. Like nothing but great things to say about him. This is my first game into him ever, so I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said at the top, I was like, I don't want to play this list at all. Double DC bricked with Lamarties and Astras, Dante and Sangard. You've got two captains and impulsors with assault intercessors. You've got two JPIs, infiltrators to stop me from doing any deep strike shenanigans later with my exalted. So I just put them all on the board. I'm like, F it, like
It's so
hands
much,
up, let's
man.
go.
It's so much
It was
stuff.
it's so much stuff. Yeah,
Did
it was tough.
either of the captains have the reactive fight first enhancement?
No, so one was the casino captain who
Hmm.
does the nonsense. I'm
Yeah,
not sure if anyone's familiar with that.
Yeah.
It's just like, here, let me kill whatever I touch. And then the other one was the no fallback. So obviously not a great tech into us, but he did play Tau later in the event, and that was just suffering for that poor player. So I think he played Tau. I believe he did.
Was
I might
Matuf
be
in the
I might
list?
be misremembering, but that's a great tech into them regardless of whether he did or not.
Hmm.
As we know from our Exalted.
Tau players can keep suffering. So
No, poor Tau players.
Did he have Mephiston
So
or no?
he did have Meph, yeah.
Yeah.
So he also had Mephiston.
I was thinking, I was like, if he left that guy out.
No, he didn't. He did not.
Yeah, cool. BA good
big.
now, I think is
So on stream, and yeah, it's a great time. So yeah, I'll send Dara the links, and you guys can watch that if you want. But
they'll
we'll
be
go
in
over it
the
in a little bit of
video
detail.
description down below. And I
Uh,
recommend you watch them if you want to get good.
well, don't watch the first turn if you want to get good. Oh boy, did I make a mistake. Um, so I like did the thing that like I literally talk about how he beat all the time, and I like tight castled so hard. So he went first, minorly staged, um, and then just like came close to me, knowing that I couldn't get him with no advance in charge, because of course I have no favorite of Khorne and I didn't roll it. So he just like got to know exactly where I could get to. I have no guns, and so he just like moves up to the exact line I can't do anything about and sits there and is like, okay, next turn I'm smashing you no matter what you do. Or you're going back to your back line. So I castle up way too tightly. I put Jackals in front of Mo. I put the Exalted 8 bound behind. Angron's on the flank. He's got the 5 KBs covering him. Uh, I've got 3 8 bound behind that castle, 3 8 bound on one flank, Avocado on the other. Um, I do go for a charge on some JPIs that were on an objective with Avocado. It was a 6-inch charge, and I roll a 5. I elected not to re-roll. Sorry, excuse me. To keep 4 CP for his go turn. So -1 damage interrupt feels really, really good. So then I blundered again, and so I didn't re-roll that. Then he goes to his turn. He starts moving models, and I forgot to roll my blessings at the top of 2. So then I roll them, and I get access to fight on death and pretty much whatever for the most part. And but it felt like he'd already like verbally stated, well, I think this is where I'm going to go. Like I'm going to go turn now, and I wouldn't have that information had he not said it. And I should have already rolled my dice, so I specifically didn't take fight on death because I felt like it was kind of cheesy at that point. It was like, I've got information. You've told me your plan. Eat this. Um, to be honest, I don't know that I would have taken it anyway. I know that I probably should have, but I specifically said on stream, I'm like, I hate fight on death. It
Well,
always gets me. Like, I never roll the 4s, and then I just feel bad that I don't have sustained when I interrupt onto you. So
I mean,
I took sustained, and I took feel no pain, and yeah, I got fought, and I did not fight on death.
yeah, I think yeah,
uh,
Mo fighting on death there would have been huge.
yep,
But
that would
I
have
think
helped a
that
little bit.
just a little bit of a tangent though, that speaks a lot to your character at the table, right? Like I think a lot of people probably could have said, "Oh, fight on death, feel no pain," or whatever, and probably gotten away with it. And it may not have been something that like I don't even feel like that's necessarily like a soft cheat, if you want to say that, if they did even go with that, even if they had the information. I feel like that's just kind of a feels bad. And the fact that you recognized that and you got in front of that and you made sure it wasn't a feels bad for either player says a lot about your character. So I just want to
Thanks, man.
put that in there. I
Yeah,
was
I
very
just don't
impressed when
like.
I saw that on the stream. I saw that and I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't like that stuff. So anyway, that turn hurt a lot. I will let you guys watch it and find out what happened. But oh boy, did I get exposed for some bad positioning there. And that's almost like what not to do. Like watch that for how don't stage, don't do this. And so, but it's game 4. We're tired, man. We're exhausted at this point. And so, uh, yeah, I haven't. I still to this day have no idea how I got out of that jam.
Yeah,
No idea. None.
that's when the
Zero.
to be continued starts, and then you have to find the
Um,
second half.
there's a couple moments that are just like amazing, and I almost don't even want to spoil them. Um, but let me tell you that I started taking Fight on Death, and oh boy, did that kick off. Um, I don't know if it's in the first half, Brian. You can let me know because I haven't watched that yet. Does the lone exalted fighting on death?
That's actually the best. That is where the to be continued starts. Is the Exalted Eightbound are going to roll fight on death, and then it cuts. So we have the nice
Oh my
cliffhanger. The
God!
cliffhanger is literally
You need to
at.
watch the second half right
Well, I
now.
don't have it
Um,
yet.
shh,
I didn't know it
shh.
existed, so we'll link it.
It'll exist after this video. But boy oh boy was that crazy. So somehow I just cut. But all glory be to Ron. This man just bowling balled the army. Like I don't even know what anyone else killed. I'm quite sure that Ron just killed 1,800 points of Blood Angels. Like
I mean,
I'm almost certain. Like I'm trying to think of like what else, who murdered stuff.
he
And it was
is
like
kind of our best answer to that matchup. He's just annoying for them to kill because I don't think they have a clean answer to him,
I,
assuming
I'm
you have access to -1 damage.
I'm definitely over exaggerating. I know that other stuff killed other stuff, but like, oh boy, did he just like murder stuff. And man, was it fun. But Francois made some insane plays as well that I just didn't see coming, or that like were really really clever, or just made the right play under duress. Like when that happens at the table, and like all of a sudden what you think is like a sure win. Like on stream, I said I lost. Like I know I lost when like Mo got hammered and my castle's broken. I'm just like, oh my god, I'm like it's over. Sorry, sorry, world leaders players. I think I said, and and then like obviously I claw my way back into it, and it's like, oh my god, this could be a world leader victory. This dude was still making the right plays, the good plays, not tilting, like working his army, using his tools, um, going for like important stuff. And yeah, he was a great player, great sport. It was a lot of fun, and that was a 74-71 victory. I think that's how tight it was. No, it was a 75-71 victory. So it was exactly like 4 points. Um, and there's a couple points in that game where like that 4 points is right there, like right there. Turn four jackals. That's some nonsense. Like so. Yeah, man. There's some crazy moments. I would love to talk about them more. They're super fun, but I actually think it's super valuable to just go watch that stuff happen. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, so I ended up going day one 4-0. I was shocked as hell after I pulled that out. Obviously elated and really looking forward to some sleep. Um, so yeah, and that was day one. Any questions about that game? I guess.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do want to echo what you said in the sense of if you're a world leader player is kind of like, how do I play out of a bad situation, a situation which I fumbled the early game? Watch it because it's all well and good to talk about it here and go through the games and stuff and highlight the key things, but when you actually see the decisions being made at the table, in real time, it really kind of highlights the advantages that you took with such limited resources. And I mean, I was telling you guys before we came on that like I came home, I was out with some friends, and I was like, after a few drinks, I was like, oh, Ryan's still on stream. And I like open up the stream and I was like, ooh, this looks real bad. And I was kind of like
Yeah.
watching it being like, but I think he's winning. It
I think you
was
did
very
that
much
with me.
like, there you
Yeah,
go.
I think you did that with me on the Battle for the Capital stream too, where you opened up when I was playing against a Tyranid player. You like it's like the Dara curse. Whenever he checks on us, we're getting our butts beat, and then he like
However, whenever I check on you, you then win
I
the
was gonna say,
game.
is it the
So
curse or is he salvation?
yeah.
he both. He can be
Uh,
both.
I can be both. But yeah, it was even just seeing those last 30 minutes play out, I was like, wow, like this is great 40K. And I do think in that brief period that I did manage to catch the game, despite how tired you both must have been, could really see the like good sportsmanship. Like Francois was so lovely at the table and like, having the game slip away from you as it did for him Like that can be tough sometimes, but he was like such a
Oh
giant through
man,
the whole thing. And I was like, you know what? I love seeing two really good players having a really good etiquette at the table as well. It was real nice.
there wasn't one point of contention. Like not once were we like, you can't do that, or is that? Are you sure? What's going on here? Like never once was it like. It
Y'all
was
were in
like I
tempo.
trusted him to just make the right to say decisions and plays. He trusted me. I made sure that, hey, I'm gonna do this. And then like anytime where like he would tell me like, oh yeah, that guy's dead. I'm like, roll your invulns because you can make this. Like it's theoretically possible, and it's the game if you do. So,
Yeah.
like making sure that like the game is played. Like Warhammer isn't what we expect to happen. That people forget that is like, oh, like the averages say this should happen. Sure, but that's not the memorable points. Nobody
Right.
remembers what should happen. They remember how that happened. Like that's what they remember. And so that's one of my favorite parts about it as well is that game. And so making sure that your opponent gets the chance to have those moments as well as you. Don't let anyone talk you into like, oh well, I'm gonna kill these guys. Don't even bother rolling dice.
Yeah. I love
I
that.
mean that's
That's
up to
really
you,
good.
but like,
Yeah. I do have actually one question because I think the Blood Angels matchup is going to be super interesting.
yep.
Um, what do you think is the scariest element, at least in that list, for the World Leaders players to play into? Because there's a lot of quite scary elements, but what's like the number one threat that you struggle to actually deal with?
Sanguinary Guard and Dante combination is foolish, and it's more specifically just Dante. It's not even the Sang Guard. Their defensive profile is nonsense. First of all, I don't think anything in our army one shots this. It's -1 to hit, -1 to wound.
And you could be battle shocked when you go into it if it's Dante.
Yeah, -1 to hit, -1 to wound. AOC, 2 up save, 4 up invuln, 3 wounds a pop. There's just nothing that murders that. Like
Better
doesn't.
Spike Mo.
Yeah,
It's
better spike mo is what it is. It's like roll 9 6s, please. Um, and so the the Dante version of that is the what I hate so much is this -1. He gives you a leadership test at the start of every single fight phase for free. It's not a strat or anything like that. Just it's within 6 inches of Dante's model, as long as they
I thought it
placed him correctly.
I thought it was engagement range. Holy shit.
No, it's
It's six
everywhere.
inches
Yeah.
from his model. So he just walked up to my castle and forced everything to take a battle shock test.
Yep.
And it's at -1. That is 42. I think it's 42% of the time for a 6 up leadership model.
Why does he have a better ability than Dread Talons?
Spooky
Than
Mask.
anything in Dread Talons?
He's
He
got a
can he
death
can mess
mask,
your
bro.
castle up bad. Like I
So
fucked
like
around and
yeah,
found out
if
as
you
well.
castle up, it's so like obviously that doesn't work as well against like shooting armies or stuff like that. But like the combat armies, that just like devastates you. Imagine
Oh
going to charge
yeah.
that unit and being like I'm gonna use 3 strats to kill this super thick blob. Oops! Now you've got no OC, you're not taking my objective, and you've got no strats.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
like the Dark Angels, like where they're
That's just
Gladius, where they're trying to fight on death and Armor of Contempt and interrupt, and you're like, well, maybe you don't.
For us,
Like,
it's
yeah,
awful. I mean, you just be like, you line up, you posture for the counter attack, and
yeah.
you're like, okay, I've got my CP for my -1, I've got my CP for my interrupt combat. And he just comes in and he's like, what if you didn't? And I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
this is bad.
So it actually didn't punish me super hard in my game, and I think it's because like thinking back on it, I don't know if he rolled it the second we rolled it out the second turn. I don't think it mattered at all because I don't think I used any strats on any of the units that would have that charged or like that would have affected. Um, because I just had all my combat buffs. I was like re-rolling hits from Ron, and I had sustained, and I was just like, these are mostly marine bodies. I'm just gonna plug away and see what happens. But like regardless, that can cause a huge problem. Like if I'm saving up 4 CP for interrupt and fight and -1 damage. Imagine just like saving up your CP for nothing. Like Dar just said, it's horrible. So yeah, that's the scariest part of that matchup. Add in the fact that because they're Imperium, they can just add a Calidus. like Boo.
yeah,
I'm so thankful that Francois did not have one.
hope you got 6 CP for your interrupt -1 damage.
Yeah, it's wild, wild. So
Maybe you're -1.
Take
yeah,
out a
because you
command
might
point
not get
savings
it.
account now if you want to be able to beat
Um,
Blood Angels with a Calidus.
yeah. So yeah, it's pretty bad.
This is this is why we don't reroll charge rolls.
Yep. That's why we don't reroll charge rolls.
Awesome. So Day one, 4-0, huge, huge. In fact,
Uh,
everyone's very excited. Everyone following along in the various discords, very hype, which is cool. I actually really liked what you did, where you had the little mini channel where you did a run by
yeah.
run through of your tournaments. And I think that's something that we might do more often on the Red Path when there's one of us playing at a GT, because I was excited, and I know a lot of other people were excited too.
Yeah,
To
it's super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love the hobby, the community. Like if that hasn't come across yet with any of the videos you watch me in, I love the community of not just like my local community, but the hobby in general, the world leaders especially, obviously. And so like everyone's super engaging, they follow along, they ask questions. And yeah, like obviously I love, repping the brand, making sure that people know that we don't suck. Like, yes, we only have one phase, but we're awesome at it, okay? Like, we are really good at this phase of the game. In addition, we're also really good at the movement phase of the game. And so like you combine those two things and you can mess a lot of armies up. And I think World Leaders is one of the best armies to just get better at being a Warhammer player. Other factions have weird tools where you like break the rules and it gives you a little bit of crutches. With World Leaders, you don't break the rules. You just move faster or roll dice. But you
Yeah, but
still have
it's
to be on point with all of your movement, your charge movements, your place model placements. Like every micro detail has to be amazing. You could go from being really good at World Leaders to being really good at any army with more shooting and tricks. I think like I love that about World Leaders and that it forces you to be a better player.
all
Um,
right. And I know you like your stats. So how about you tell us about your game five stat check, one could say.
um, well, before we get to Game Five, we have to
Oh.
get to the venue. Uh,
Oh yeah, you gotta get to the game five.
you got to get to the game. So before that, I spend some of my precious sleep time sweating because we're down to the final four undefeateds. It's myself, it's Scary, it's another Blood Angels player, Vincent Peretti, and it's Devin Swan, who's also a member of Team Canada on and off, and very, very good player. I think he's like 10th in ELO or 7th in ELO in Canada or something like that. Like another incredible player. And he's got, so it's Drukhari, Blood Angels, or 6 Catan Necrons. The mission is the ritual, and I think that I don't. I think that I was hoping for Scary. I think on this one, not just because he's amazing and it's always fun to play him, but like Dark Angels, maybe if I can get them, or sorry, Drukhari, if I can get them, maybe fighting over one objective that like looked good. And then I looked at his list, I'm like, it's just sick, thick city with more stuff, and I'm like, maybe I don't want to fight him on a small point. Um, Realistically, like I was like, none of these feel good. So I ended up getting paired into Swan, and I spent the evening looking at 6 different Catan profiles, and I was like, God, nah, I don't want this. So we'll see how it goes. Get in my car, go to the event, and on a major highway, the 401, if you're familiar, my car just dies, essentially stalls. I have no brakes and I have no gas, and I'm going 110 kilometers an hour. And
you left that part out of the
I,
story.
I am
Jesus.
How are you
very
here?
concerned at this point, and it's no longer concern about 6 Catan. So I eventually do make it, of course, to the side of the road. I glide my way in there. Um, of course, all I'm thinking about is, whew, I'm alive, and second of all, I just lost. I just lost. Like I can't get to the venue. Like how? Like it's 8:15 and the game is at 9, and I'm 20 minutes away via car with a dead car. So um, an absolute Hail Mary worked. And one of the TOs or two of the TOs were actually driving and got stuck in a Toronto marathon. The police were setting up like a bunch of cones, closed off a bunch of roads, and forced these guys to take a detour. And they ended up coming around to where I was. So they were able to pick me up from the side of the highway and get me to the venue. I was
Nice.
I was late. I was indeed late. But so were they. So if I wasn't there at the same time of the TOs, it doesn't count, right? It's not late.
True.
Um, but no. So Devin was amazing. So let me I got Devin his flowers right now. Gave me extra time. made sure I didn't have to stress. He's like, go to the washroom, get a drink, do whatever you need to do. Well, I cleared that we complained to lunch a little bit with the TOs. The event had a hard dice down rule, so if you didn't get your score in within 5 minutes of round ending, you got double zeros. Um, this is to keep the event moving. So many times you get people fighting over their scores for 20 minutes and no one knows who their pairings are, and then the whole next round gets pushed back. As a TO, I can tell you, like, two people can absolutely hold up and push back an event. So two people arguing over score. So we had the hard dice down rule, or they had the hard dice down rule. And so we got a clearance to fix that a little bit for us. Obviously, special circumstances. And I was given the time. I still didn't have a ton of time. I still, like, we had like an hour each, maybe, kind of thing, to play. He has 9 units. I have lots of models and attacks to roll and stuff like that. So I was very rushed. But I felt very rushed anyway. Not on Devin's part at all. Like, Devin was amazing. I was super grateful. He made that not a horrendous experience. And I felt like I didn't lose the game simply because I wasn't able to make it to the venue on the perfect time. I definitely felt like I had a shot into the game even while I was playing it, and I was just rushing a little bit, and I made a couple micro mistakes. One of them was not angling my rhino while it was covering a gap so the Catan couldn't fit through. It was blocking their way, and I didn't angle my rhino correctly. I actually had it flush against the wall rather than angled off the wall, and a Catan was able to charge it through the wall, kill it, while the Nightbringer then got to pile in to mow behind the rhino and snipe him out and kill him. And that was obviously a huge error because that was like going to be my hammer unit hit back, and he was able to snipe it out just from like a thing that I didn't think about really. So I blame the car a little bit for my loss. That's just probably pride. I definitely could have just made the right play in the moment. It was a lot closer than the score indicated. I think it was like 85 to 68. And it was just because I couldn't stop Six Catan from controlling the ritual, which is just like build your own castle and live there. Fighting Six Catan at once is very, very difficult for us. A couple at a time, I can pick apart and pull down like a pack of wolves kind of deal. But when you like charge 6 Exalted 8-bound in, they're on stupid little bases on 40 millimeters, so you can't base them all into combat. And then another Transcendent Heroics, and now you've got to split your attacks. It's just you're not killing either, and then they're both punching you, and you're losing the trade. Like, you can't. It's very like it was impossible for me to assail that without him just getting like constant 15s. I fell behind, and a couple things didn't go my way, and didn't work out. So we ended up 4-1 after a 6 Catan Necron game.
After the goddamn car is what it's after. That is, I mean, very glad that it wasn't a more serious situation. Whatever about the game, that is pretty
Oh, it
scary
was
to
horrifying.
have that
It was
happen.
pretty
Yeah.
hilarious and horrifying all at once.
Yep.
But no, CAA came clutch. They got the car pretty quick, and the boys came, swooped me up, and we got to the venue and got killed by some Necrons. But no, it was a really fun game. Devin was an absolute beast and a gentleman at the same time. Exactly what you hope to see at a Warhammer tournament from a high level player. So all the kudos to him. Great performance and great game, and I really appreciate him making it feel like I didn't lose because my transportation issue. I definitely lost because I could have made better decisions and some dice. Like, I think at one point, Angron charged the Nightbringer and he rolled like 8 invulns. I was like, I guess,
Okay.
like, sure.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we got done with round 5, take us straight into round 6, last game of the tournament. How are you feeling for that one?
So Skari played Peretti, the other Blood Angels player, and Skari won that game on the ritual with his thick city clone, and so I ended up getting paired into Blood Angels again, and I was very, very excited about it. Super, super pleased.
We
I was
could
like,
tell.
oh God,
I
Yeah,
no.
bet.
you resonated that in the Discord.
And when I found out that you were playing Blood Angels a second time, and it was on the Patreon table, that made me buy my membership for their Patreon just so I can watch this game. I gotta watch this drama.
But did you watch it?
No, I just got it. So immediately after the filming of this video, I will be judging you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Game six was a time. So obviously everyone's tired. He's been through a lot of Warhammer. Um, we're fighting for essentially third place in the event. And like yeah, like the loser gets like seventh or eighth place, and the winner gets third and a prize and a trophy. Like it's the that table is almost always the most competitive at the end of a tournament because you go from like getting prestige to getting nothing. Like nobody cares that you came eighth and went 4-2, kind of thing. But you go 5-1 and get third, and you're like, oh, okay, this is awesome. That's not necessarily true, but like it's generally very competitive, and so sometimes that brings out
I think
the
that's like
edge in some people.
I think that's like a
Um,
sentiment. Like I actually appreciate that sentiment to a degree, right? Like you never
yeah,
see first place like podium or table. They're fighting for first or second, but the guy
yeah,
that gets third is just happy to get third, and he's having the time of his life, right? So
yeah,
the guy that gets second is disappointed that it wasn't first. Yeah, absolutely. The guy that gets third loves his third place medal.
yeah. But like the guy who doesn't get third and gets knocked a bunch down because he didn't get any wins, and a bunch of dudes who lost their first game now have 5 wins somehow, and they're above him. Um, but anyway, I didn't think about that, but like I understand that sentiment exists, and it can lead to some edge on the table. I Yeah, there was definitely was some a little bit of contention in this game. So I went first, moved Angron up, um, I to where I thought was relatively safe, and I don't think I communicated that well, and that's fine. That was on me. So I was a little frustrated with myself, I think, when he's like, so he holds the measuring tape in the air and it's like, oh, that's like a 6 inch charge. I'm like, "Oh, what? From where?" And I guess it's like some jump pack dudes that I didn't see hiding behind a building. And I was like, all right, okay, here we go. So it's like Astrath and 10 Death Company going to immediately charge Angron turn one. And I'm like,
Ooh.
all right. But then he moves the models and I measure it out and it's a 7.5 inch charge. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I say that. And obviously he's like, well, we talked about it. And I'm like, well, I guess I'll give it to you. I didn't talk about it, but I'll give it to you and just make sure we're measuring on the table instead of 2 feet in the air. Um, this was a game where like we were like I was like I kind of felt like I had to like make sure that the you were on to make sure that the rules were being followed. I was also getting clocked very aggressively. Two players who are very high end players had already been clocked out against this player. That was shocking for me. So I know that these guys don't normally clock out. So I was curious, and so anyway, all that aside, he's a very capable player, very very strong player, and I made sure to just be a little sharper. So that charge happened, and he did roll a 7. So regardless of what the contention was, he would have made it. But it mattered because he got 4 into base and a bunch trailed behind. And sitting right behind Angron is Avocado, and he heroics on a 9 inch. And I eat all of those attacks on Avocado, and I have fight on death and feel no pain up.
Witness
And then I might
me.
and then I -1 damage Angron, and I'm just like, you
Oh,
are getting smashed back. Like this is gonna hurt so bad.
What a vibe.
He kills Avocado outright. Avocado then kills 5 Death Company on the fight on death, and then he does like 4 wounds to Angron, and Angron just deletes the rest of the unit. And I was
I'll
like,
take that
I
trade.
will
That's a good trade
take
deal.
that trade all day. 3 CP and Avocado for an immediate Death Company and character gone was amazing. Um,
Because Astaroth is touching Angron then.
Atrox is dead now.
Well,
He-
yeah, but for
he
that
gone.
situation,
Yeah, he was
yeah.
fighting Angron, 100%.
Okay.
And then he charged some like spawn on a point. and I killed. And then on my second turn, I killed them all. Like killed the blade guard that he put up off because he went instead of he didn't get bring Dante or Sangard. He brought two big units of death blade guard veterans and two big units of death company. And so we had the
That's an
fight
interesting
first
choice.
enhancement on a chaplain,
Hmm.
That's pretty
and then a justiciar. And so both of those units were fight first, and then Mephiston obviously existed. So like he had three fight firsts running around. But to be honest, I was never like literally from turn one. This was the like watch this game on Patreon for the clinic of what to do versus Blood Angels because in turn like I never once was sweating, other than like making sure I didn't get clocked out because
when people throw multiple instances of fights first in front of you, that doesn't mean it's in like your mental math on what it takes to actually crack that, I think would change quite a bit. Like just charge two, like let them fights first once, and you kill the other brick, and maybe pop fight on death. So I haven't watched it yet. I'm very interested to see it.
yeah
I,
yeah
I
100%.
I'm probably gonna
I
cheer for Angron in that one moment though. That sounds sick.
It's so funny. But yeah, so yeah, the I made sure to just be the best opponent I could. Obviously, I had
Yep.
to make sure that I was the rules were all being followed and stuff like that. But he forgot to deep strike one of his GPIs. He had two GPIs. He forgot he deep struck them both. I don't know that that was the right call. But he deep struck them both, and I had to like screen more my back line because it was linchpin. So maybe it was the right call because if you don't hold your house, you score very little for primary everywhere else. So, and I obviously just going to hold jackals at my point. So I have to like legit screen to stop JPI from just ingressing and deleting my house. So maybe that was the right call, but he forgot to bring one of them in, and I let him do it on turn four. And I let him reposition them after he wasn't happy with that position during my turn. So, like I just did all of the stuff that I'm just like, cool, just do your thing, and we'll have the best game we can. But yeah, I was never worried about the outcome of that game. Yeah, he was just Angron, man. Angron really is the bee's knees in that Blood Angels matchup. I think that was like an 85, 50 or 60 or something like that. I forget. Let me pull it
Yeah,
up.
we'll have the scores up on screen anyways.
Oh, there you go.
Go through
It's
them.
interesting seeing no Sanguinor in either Blood Angels list.
I was
That
very
This
is
is very
shocked.
popular.
So, so six Blood Angels lists, not one had a Calidus, or maybe one did have a Calidus, but it was one of the players that didn't do as well. I don't think more than two had a Sanguinor, if any.
So
Um,
on that, right? Because I've been talking
yeah.
to the boys about this, particularly Mike, who is like Mr. Blood Angel. And
Mhm.
he gets the reason why we fear the Sanguinor. But it's a reason that's like almost exclusive to World Eaters, you know?
Yeah, it's the Mo.
Yeah, the Sanguinor kills Mo. Like he is the perfect answer to
Instantly.
Mo, but he doesn't do anything in most of the other games.
yeah. Imagine I think about like Blood Angels fighting Tau, and it's like I guess he's an action monkey now that you bring down on turn three, and that's well
Yeah,
all that you can expect from him.
and he's expensive.
Yeah,
Like he's like 160 points, I think, maybe 180.
150 years something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like it's
he's a pricey model, and he
and he
does one
doesn't
thing in his
kill 3/8 pound. Like if he
no,
drops down and fights first in the 3/8 pound, he kills like one
Yeah,
dude, especially if he -1 damage, and then you just delete him or
I've had
don't
him
and play with your target was anyway.
I've had him drop down and try to like take Invocatus out and save some scouts, and then I'm like, okay, I'll just take your skull instead, and Invocatus just bonks him on the head after getting hit.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So I think it's like I'm not particularly surprised not to see him. I think it'd be weirder if people weren't running like Mephiston or something, you know. Or I actually do think it's unusual that your second opponent didn't bring any Sangard. Like that is actually quite strange. But
it might also be an availability thing too. Like this tournament was the day Blood Angels officially launched, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that they six Blood Angel players. They're the most of any faction, um, and obviously two ended up in the top eight. And yeah, like I don't want. I'm not trying to like any ill will towards the player that I played. It was the end of an event, for a very high placing. I get we're all looking for the edge. I just I think I just had to make sure that I was defending myself as a player, defending the rules, call the judge often, early and often, make sure that all the decisions were not on me. You
And
you make those calls, man. You tell me what's happening, and I'll abide by that.
Yeah.
Um,
The
and
last chill
then
game
yeah,
learn. Sorry, last chill game learn. We talked about this. Don't be afraid to call the judge, guys. I just want to like add that in there. It's not an insult to either player to be able to ask for rules clarifications or ask for a third party
yeah.
to be there. It's completely fine to do it, and both players should be okay with it.
I call the judge a lot, and especially if a charge is even close. Like if we're not sure what the charge distance is, judge, come tell me what this charge distance is. If I make the call that it's a 7 and you think that it's an 8 and I roll a 7, feels bad. If the judge comes over and says this is a 7, guys, everyone's happy with that. Nobody's upset. If the judge comes over and tells me it's an 8, cool, that's what it is. So, but if my opponent tells me it's an 8 and I have to equivocate to him and then I roll a 7, I think it's a 7, man. Like I don't know. But once you learn this is the ruling, this is what it is, everyone feels better, and the judge isn't the bad guy, and then neither player is the bad guy. I want to enjoy my time with my opponent as much as I want to win the game and thus beat him or her. I also want to have a great time with that person. We are playing a game together, and so yeah, no ill will towards my opponent really. Just want to always make sure that you're making sure you stand on your rules. Call a judge if you're not sure about a rule or a rule sounds too good to be true. Clarification, judge, for sure.
Awesome.
That's it.
So
But yes, so I guess to veer back on the topic is the 5-1. Like I end
yeah,
the event 5-1, third place.
and officially,
Losing
as of right now, I'm pretty sure, at least, in the fourth quarter of 2024, at this point in time, you are officially the best world leader player in the world
I am not. I don't
for this
think.
season.
Oh, for this
Sure,
season.
you're the best
Um,
performing of the weekend, therefore best
Yeah.
performing of the
Until this coming weekend when I go and I win GuildCon, and then I'll take that
Perfect.
crown.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, I
um,
think I think if we're talking ITC points, Matt Bargoon still has it. I think I'm
curse you,
just,
Tampa. Milton.
and I think I'm still below Brian actually.
well, no
Because
one
I don't.
knows with the ITC because it's so messed up that
Ma
like
Yeah.
Magic 8 Ball says you get 300 points
yeah.
for
Yeah. Well,
third place.
listen. Yeah. So unfortunately, I don't go to events the size that I need to farm those nonsense points. I know there's a person ahead of me who has like 190 points for 177th placing at LGT, and I'm just like,
Sure.
God damn it. That's more points than I get for like a GT. Like winning the GT and I get less points than you coming 177th. Like I'm just like, what's
The magic
happening?
of ITC, man.
The Magic 8
Um,
Ball.
So
but yeah, so like I suppose to wrap it up, obviously you placed third, which is incredible. Like
yep.
congratulations. Awesome to
Thank
see
you.
see more good results coming in from known and good world leader players. Um how do you feel about the list in general? Anything you want to change, or do you think people should just go out and give this one a try?
I think that it's super fun. Brian hit the nail on the head earlier. Toolbox list. It does all the damage that we had before. Like nothing changes. Mo's still badass. Angron's still badass. Avocado's still awesome. 3 8 pounds still do stuff. 6 exalted, 3 exalted. So you can either choose to keep the 3 exalted on the table, or I often deep strike them. It causes problems for opponents. Like they have to screen now. You rapid ingress that threat. It's really easy to hide and position. Like it's a small 340s are really easy to fit places. Um, and often I don't want to like have to hide another unit and then fight for the same targets. Like if everyone's going forward, you're fighting the screens, you're fighting the skirmishing units. If I have one unit in the back in the deep strike, they now have to think about like a whole different set of problems. I like creating problems for my opponent. I like making them think about stuff. It's why Scout is never coming into my list. Like people are often ask me, "Hey, I face infiltrators all the time. I face Jaegers all the time. I face Nurglings all the time. I never get to Scout. Why do I even bring Avocado?" Because you force those units to be put on the line 9 inches in front of you, and you go get to pick them up. That's why those people put those in their lists, not against world, not to specifically mess up world leaders, but because those are their best scoring tools. If they're now forced to spend their best scoring tools to sit in front of Avocado, go for it. I'm going to take those all day. So yeah, the list stays the same. It's very, very good. A lot of fun. I really like the 5 KBs. I think I didn't talk
Hell
about
yeah.
them in any of the games really. But like in game one, they went and killed Ratlings. I think Jackals probably could have done that too. But like they went and killed Ratlings and then survived. But then they survived the hit back from 3 Bulgrin.
Ooh.
Um, and then kept the point, and then because they save on fours against Bulgrin. Bulgrin only AP1. So rather than lose the point like Jackals would have, because they're only one OC bodies, that Berserkers kept it, held it. I scored primary off that. And then game two, I mean games 2 and 3, I could have won with whatever, like in those instances. So maybe not so much. But in game 4, they fought on death and killed a bunch of Death Company. Jackals wouldn't have been able to do that. Spawn wouldn't really have been able to do that. And then in game 5, they were not so good.
Yeah, it's
I
just
used them.
6 to 10. That's not their fault. Jackals will do nothing too.
I also, yeah, I tried to hopefully survive some shooting with their save and cover, and I just didn't. And then the last game, they took Mephiston's attack to the face. One of them survived and was because he was my recover assets target and did recover assets in my house. And,
What a
and like I'm just like
He had to finish his
cool.
chores. He had no time to die.
Um,
Nice.
so yeah, like they survived. Their save over Jackals is relatively important. And then they fight on, if they fight on death or they just fight something in general, they smack, like they can smack stuff. So they're not an incredible unit. I would never include them if I didn't have the luxury points for them. It's the same reason I included Favor of Khorne Juggerlord. Is I had the luxury points for that, and in that role, he's good. And so in this role, 5 KBs is very good. You can absolutely switch them out for Spawn, Jackals, whatever you choose. I don't care. Like it's not integral at all to the list whatsoever. But I do feel like it opens up more options, as we talked about earlier, and more options is always nice.
And
But yeah, I really like that. That's the big change, and obviously it played out well enough for me. I would really like something to murder Catan with, but maybe I'll just punch them off the table, and that'll work. Yeah,
both
that's really
Dara, yeah, both Dara and I are going to be taking the list out for a spin, so we can come out with data. I mean, I have a GT this weekend. I'm playing the exact same list, and I have a GT the following weekend, and I'll probably be playing the exact same list. One of the other things,
Yeah, I mean, I
just
think at that point we'll have like nearly 30 odd games with this list. We should have some hard data.
hard to.
I personally
Um,
like increasing the density of the grenades keyword in our army. Grenades is one of the best strats in the game, and having the utility to use that is really cool. Turn 1, there's some scouts in the middle objective, and you need to go kill it. Spawn or sketchy. Invocatus seems like an overcommitment. 5 berserkers, just right. And if you really need to, grenades them if it's like 10 points hinging on like some weird secondaries.
yeah,
I feel like that's great.
area denial, and secure. You just like throw those guys out there, and
And I'm
all of a
tossing
sudden,
grenades all day too. Just
yeah.
I need my 10 points. So
Um,
I
yeah,
don't
man,
think they're
that's
bad.
yeah. They're
Bad
not.
at
They're
all.
not throwing. You're. What was the old line from that
Not quite throwing.
Not
Not
quite
throwing.
throwing.
You're not throwing by taking.
Or is it? It's bad, and you should feel
It's
bad.
bad and you should feel bad.
Yeah.
Not quite throwing was the
No.
next one up.
Yeah. I think that's where Juggerlord lives now. It's bad, and you should feel bad.
On the
Um,
turntables.
so sad. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. Like, it was such a fun event. So Scary ended up winning the event. I'm so happy about that. He's a great dude, and he deserves it. Um, and then obviously second place was the player who beat me, Devin Swan. I came third, and then Francois came fourth. So the way they do the prizes is they do best overall and first, second, third. So normally best overall is someone who went like 4-2 with an awesome paint job. Well, Scary exists, and Scary is also an amazing painter. So he actually won best overall, which pushed 1, 2, and 3 down. So I got my second place participation trophy for coming third. But they're really cool trophies. Put that up on the shelf and giggle every time I look at it and know I came third. But
Nice.
but yeah, no, it was a great event. The guys did amazing. It was such a pleasure to finally play in one. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next one. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. It was a really fun time.
Well, I guess we'll kind of lead that into like, what do you have coming up? What is the next? What do you have coming up next?
So WCW, obviously, that's November. I think that other than some leagues, which I'm currently in, I have to get some league games in, boys. Ugh. Playing more Warhammer right now seems like God, and it's against some really good opponents too. Like Dan Bruce, who I actually mentioned earlier in he's like number 15 in Canada.
I've played him. He's a great dude.
He's my next league opponent in round three, and I
Oh,
was like,
good luck. He gave me a good game, so good
yeah,
luck.
he's a great dude and a strong player. Like he's really good. So could easily be a loss. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's probably league stuff. WCW, maybe an RTT, probably not. And then yeah, there's like a little 5-man teams in January that'll be really fun. Taking 3 teams from GTA 40K to go to this one in Toronto. So
Nice.
Nice.
What
sorry, excuse me.
and what about you, Dara? You got anything on the books coming up here soon?
Yeah, so lots more Skull Taker episodes from us, I think, based on that, because we got WCW with the both of you. I've got GaleCon this weekend, tournament I haven't been to in a little while, but historically has been one which actually all 3 of my worst results have all been GaleCon. So expect to see a bad episode coming out this week. And then
No,
we've
you're rocking Grand Non.
yeah,
No more
Grandnon,
Grands.
I'm
Grandnon,
gran all day.
Grand Non.
Grand
But yeah,
Grand
Honor.
Non
I am
more.
actually feeling good about it. Like I've been running Ryan's list, so I'm off and on ground for a little bit, just taking a leisurely break, and I am loving Ryan's list so much. It is a ton of fun to play. So take it from Mr. Non-Grand himself. If you want to try Ron, try this fucking list because it's gonna be real good. So I've got that. Then I've got GaleCon 2 weeks after, or sorry, Broadsword 2 weeks after. And then I'm off for the rest of the year because I will be running a major in the end of January. So that'll be big. Got to do a lot of work for that. So that's my current schedule. And
All
Brian?
glory be to TOs, man. TOs, I can't say enough about the dudes who run GT40K, the events there, and obviously yourself for running majors. It is a selfless endeavor. The amount of work that goes into that, most people don't understand how much it takes to get one of these set up. Signs, tables, mats, terrain, get it painted, get it set up, and then organize it all, and then listen to everyone bitch every time they see a map they don't like. Like there's a ton of
Yeah.
work that goes on for these, and you don't get paid. Like it's not a paying position
Yeah.
essentially. Like it's so expensive to run one of these things. It's essentially a volunteer work. Like you might take a little, but not a lot. Like so,
It's
it's essentially just like volunteer or like you're paying gas money to get there. Like so yeah, for every TO running events, thank you so much. Obviously, Dara running one for your community, that's amazing. And for the guys who ran GTA 40K Toronto Fall Open, love you guys. You guys are awesome. So thank your TO next time you're at an event, regardless of who they are, because this is a lot of work. Like it's a lot of production value to put all this stuff on. And it's so good for the community. Like all that excitement that we love, that's where it comes from. These guys pouring their hearts in for a million hours before you even get to the table. Like, so I think that's awesome.
nice.
Right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Yeah. Please be nice to your TOs. I was one too. I finally understand now. After being a TO, I was like, I will never complain about terrain again. So,
Yep. Oh, I
um,
immediately started complaining. I got to my venue and I'm like, I'm not a CO anymore.
it, it,
Who did
I,
that? Who picked
I
this
will say
map?
it's the worst when we have to set up like 100 tables and you only have enough terrain for 98 and you're like, oh God, what do I do? That's the worst. That one's the worst.
Then you start calling your
But
friends, hey, you got a terrain table at home? You got that stuff?
yeah.
You got 8 L shit
Or
green.
you go raid the AOS room and pray they don't catch you sneaking out of the room with some terrain. But yeah, I think
Nice.
that about wraps it up, guys. Like I said, we got some stuff coming up here. I already said I got 2 GTs coming up. WCW is right around the corner. Um,
Put it away.
looks like we got a
Put that
demon
shit
friend.
away.
He's still bad. He is still bad.
Should I feel bad though?
Um, yeah, you
Yeah.
should. He's still bad. Definitely, you're feeling bad if you're playing because if you're playing him, you had no other choices to make.
I mean,
Um,
he was a nice third place prize, that's for sure.
uh, well, he might be good with the codex. Here's to hoping. So,
I'm taking ring brings with helm. It's fine. Finalized.
anyways, guys, Thanks for sticking around with us if you have for this long. Again, congratulations to Ryan for doing so well in this whole new world of a meta that we're going to be walking into for a whole 2 months. Most of y'all won't even see it. It'll be a blip in the space of time, but for us, it's actually a really awkwardly big deal. Um, Other than that, stay tuned. We got a lot of content coming. I'm really excited to see what uh, Ryan will be throwing out himself for some more tactics. Maybe how to beat Blood Angels guide could be on the horizon. Because honestly, they're about as, I won't say problematic, but as much of a puzzle as Index Custodes was for us to solve. So we gotta just solve the puzzle again, figure out how to make it work. But other than that, my name is Brian. This is Dara. This is Ryan. And make sure you guys stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.